Alright, so this video is going to be on how to go through the incremental reading manual to learn SuperMemo, which is personally actually how I learned SuperMemo myself. So to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, maybe, let's say, 2 years ago I found this specific page, and what it suggests is that to learn SuperMemo, you import this manual. And obviously this manual is sort of insanely long, right? Now, you might be thinking, there's no way in hell I'll go through all of that. Now, with SuperMemo, we have two very fun, cool features that let us use SuperMemo to use SuperMemo, the incremental reading manual. Now, the first one is that we can split this up into smaller pieces. So we can make this into, say, it basically splits it up into specifically 340 different extracts. Now, obviously, that's still way too much to do in a single day. So the second thing we can do is we can spread it. So with spread, we can make it so that it shows us, say, one extract per day, or 20 if we want. And by doing that, we can incrementally learn more about how to use SuperMemo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to actually do this. So the first thing you're going to want to do is copy this, so the IR manual link, and I'm going to put this in the description. And then go to Internet Explorer. Probably haven't used that in a while, have you? But we don't have much choice. For now. Hopefully that'll change in the future. But so we're going to want to open that up in IE to show all content. I'll just give it a little bit to load. Yep, there we are. And now we have this here. So we want to import this into SuperMemo. So go back to SuperMemo. And then do the shortcut you can use is Control-Shift-A. Right? Now with Control-Shift-A, we'll see that it's referring us to this thing we have open in Internet Explorer, and that we can import it, right? So what we can do is we can do close browser. So the specific settings for this aren't super important because you'll be able to figure them out for yourself long term, and they don't matter a lot. But if you want like a amount tip, then you can just do close browser, and I recommend doing create concept and then changing the title to SuperMemo. And I'll show you what this does in a second. And then you can leave the rest of the settings the same, and then do import. Ignore that. So in this case, you saw that it imported immediately for me. So if you're doing a fresh install of, or how do you say it? If you're just using Internet Explorer normally, it'll make you click allow access. So for me, I've disabled it so I don't have to click that every time. But if you see that it's just stalling for some reason, then go to Internet Explorer and then do allow access. But anyways, so now we've got the IR manual imported. What do we do next? So what we want to do is right click, and there's this very, very strange bug that we need to fix. So you have to right click on the element here, do reference, and then do edit. And you're going to see the title is Barack Obama for mysterious reasons beyond my, well, actually I know why, but essentially it'll be very mysteriously have this terrible metadata. And this is like the only thing it happens on, probably the most important text that you can import, but it's not too hard to fix. So what we'll do is we'll just edit these references, which will be important, and we'll just make this incremental learning manual. Author Piotr Wozniak and co, in case there's some invisible people helping him that we haven't met. Probably are. And the date, let's see what the date is. Okay, I already closed it. So I don't know what it'll be, the last date of publishing of this when you import it, but from what I remember, is April 6th, 2020. You can get rid of source. You can get rid of email and comment. Oops. And then this link. We can replace this link with, whoops, that's not the link we want. Let me just open up Chrome again. So link is important. You're going to want to put the link that we imported from. Just replace this mysterious YouTube one. Then do paste, and then do OK. And the next thing you want to do is split. So to use split, you want to press Control Enter, which is SuperMemo Commander. And You can do split, press enter, and then these default settings are enough for SuperMemo to split this up properly. Just let it do that. And I'll just let that run. So now that we're done, we can see that we have a bunch of stuff that SuperMemo has extracted for us, right? And it's just way too much stuff. So there are a few things we want to do. So the first thing is we want to do control space. And what control space does is it opens up this view. And with this view, what we can do is we can split it up so that we don't just do all of these reps tomorrow. Because tomorrow it's scheduled 340 reps, and obviously that's too many. We want to spread this out over time. So if we do control space, and then we click on this top leftmost button, the second top left button, do learning, spread, and then do yes. Then we can schedule a number of elements per day. So this is sort of up to you, but as a rule of thumb, if you plan to spend, say, 60 minutes a day on SuperMemo, your estimate's probably going to be wrong. So have your estimate, and so if 60, make it 30. And then amongst that 30, let's say that you're going to spend 1/3 of your time on the IR manual, and the rest might be on stuff you want. Otherwise, you can spend more of that if you want, but I recommend estimating that each new extract will take around, say, 1 minute. You'll need 1/3 of your time will be new stuff, 1/3 of your time might be old stuff, and then 1/3 might be other stuff. So if I have 30 minutes, then I might do 10 minutes worth of this IR manual, and I'll vaguely translate the 10 minutes into, say, 10 new elements per day, right? And here you have a choice. So either you can, the default settings will make you go through this in random order, which is what I did, because I didn't know any better. But if you want to go through this linearly, if you go to criteria, and then do retain current repetition sequence and press OK. Then it'll make it so that you can go through the IR manual linearly. So if I do update, it'll spread this out over 34 days. I can do OK. And now I have around 10 new reps scheduled per day. Right? And you can see here it says this will be seen in 1 day, this will be seen in 3 days. And now what you can do if you want to actually start incremental reading is you can just press learn, and that's it. And here we're seeing something mysterious. I don't know what this is. So what you can do for stuff where it seems like it's not useful or it's just like nonsense is you can do Control D. This shortcut's important. This is dismiss. And one small thing I forgot to mention earlier, before you do control space, you need to click on the subset you want to see. So if I press control space here, it'll show me everything under this, like everything in this folder. Or if I click on this, it'll show me everything under this, including this one. But yeah. But anyway, so if I press learn and I see this strange thing and it's just nothing, right? Then I want to press control D. So you can see here that it's scheduled that I'll see it in 1 day. And obviously I don't really care about seeing this since it's not really anything useful. Then I can just press yes. And then if I press learn again, it's showing me something else. So it's showing me this manual. And obviously, I've already split the manual, so there's no point in going through the original. It's super long anyways, so you can just do Control D again. And I think there's a few more junk ones. So obviously, this is not very useful. This is the contents, which again is also not very useful. Ah, yes. Now, finally, something sort of useful. Now, the very, very basics of SuperMemo, and I'll just stick to mainly this and maybe 1 or 2 other shortcuts, is Alt-X and Alt-Z. If you don't like shortcuts, you can always use the equivalent button. So Alt-X is this, Alt-Z is this. So what extracts do, which is what Alt-X does, extract, is it'll sort of take the thing you highlight and then put it into a new topic. So the topic is just these green things which have passive material. So as an example, let's say that I want to make an extract of this, right? Now SuperMemo will do some crazy stuff and it'll make this new topic and it only has the stuff that I selected, right? Now let's say that I want to go even smaller, and that I care a lot about this sentence in particular, and I think there's something valuable I want to learn here. Right? And I made this new topic. So the process of SuperMemo, there's a bunch of ways to do it, but one way you can use it is just recursively whittle down extracts to be smaller and smaller. And if I have this, then let's say that I rewrite it to incremental learning. And, well, let me just edit this, whoops, this original thing. Set of techniques. Learning. Minimizing. So this isn't super helpful to memorize, but as an example, we have this extract, right? Now what you can do is you can start to make close deletions. So Alt-Z, and now I have a very simple card. All it asks is just to recall this single one thing, and I press show answer. Then I can grade it with an happy face or smiley faces. So you can also use number keys. So this corresponds to 1, and this corresponds to 5. So I'll probably rate this, say, 4, which is fairly good. But using Alt-X, I can make extracts, and then Alt-Z, I can make cards. So when you're first starting, I think the simplest way to think about it is Alt-X is the equivalent of highlighting something you think is cool, so that later you can look at it in more detail by itself. Now, Alt-Z is a process of trying to memorize a specific thing from something you found that was cool. Now, a big thing you'll see a lot, like talked about a lot here, is how to make good closed deletions and stuff like that. Because it's very easy to just say, maybe I want to memorize this entire thing, and I just make a card like this. This is a pretty bad card since it's making me recall too much at once. So while the basics are pretty simple of Alt-X, Alt-Z, and you can already get like a bunch of use out of that, long term you're going to want to improve your skills of incremental reading as you go through this more, and find some other useful material on the subject. Now, one other minor thing that I'll mention, and this is about it. With this, you're good enough to go just start doing the IR manual. Is this shortcut Alt-P? So basically, let's say I have this, right? Or actually, we have this huge queue here, right? Now we're going through it linearly, but let's say that I have like 1,000 random articles I've imported from the internet. So just going through it in linear order is not very intelligent. Going through it in random order is also not very intelligent. So with SuperMemo, what we do is we can use the priority queue. Now what this means is that, this is obviously going to be very arbitrary, the priority queue for today, since we haven't assigned anything. But what SuperMemo does is it'll sort out what you see today based on priority. And there's a bit of randomization, which is why you don't see it purely 3.202 and then 3.448, and then just all the low priority stuff. But using this, you can sort of maximize the value for your time. And each day, see the most important stuff first, then move on to less important stuff. You might be a little bit confused about why 3 is high, but in SuperMemo, 0 is highest priority, 100 is lowest, which you get used to over time. But anyways, so what we can do to assign this priority, which I recommend doing every time that you see a new thing, is you can just press Alt-P. Just write that here. And you can just assign a priority. Now, my recommendation for the exact workflow for this is, so let's say that I press learn again, and I just see this completely random new thing, right? So my recommendation is that before you do anything else, you just give it a skim. So let me do that now. Okay, so I've given this a good skim, and now what I can do is, before I make any extracts, I want to give it a priority. So I can press Alt-P, and now you might struggle here. 0 to 100 is a lot of options, right? And my recommendation is that use a simple heuristic of 33, 66, and 88. And these 3 are enough, generally, for most beginners, to cover most of the things you find and to give you most of the benefit of priority without going insane over it. So 33, my recommendation is you keep 33 as, man, this is insanely cool, and if I learn this, it'll be highly applicable and useful. And 66 is, this is sort of neat, sort of useful, not that useful. I don't really want to get rid of it. It's kind of still useful, but not that important. And then there's 88. So 88's like, yeah, this is probably useless. And the only reason it's still here is because I feel bad getting rid of it. And yeah, just using that. So in this case, I'd probably give this an 88, since I already know that just this isn't useful by itself. I'm not learning anything new that I can actually apply. But let's say I see this. So this one I know is a fair bit more interesting. So it's not like essential or anything, so I'll give it a 66. If I move on, this one's also about interruption, so it seems neat but not essential. Now this one doesn't seem very useful. You might notice that I'm not using 33 very much, and then the reason for this is that if everything is high priority, nothing is. So the stricter you are with priority, the better you can ensure that the queue you see each day is going to be well curated, and you're seeing the actual most important stuff. This long term is really important because eventually, well, at least for me, you end up importing more stuff than you can ever go through an entire lifetime. There's just too much cool stuff out there, and priority is really essential to making sure you don't go insane going through that all. But and one last thing I'll add is you want to use Control D when you are done processing something. So in this case, this is pretty useless. I don't think I want to go through this anymore, right? So I can use the Control D thing that I mentioned earlier, which does dismiss, and SuperMemo will no longer show this to me again. And that's what dismiss does. But yeah, that's it for this video. So if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. If you want to schedule a call to learn SuperMemo from me or my friend, I will have a link in the description below. Though I'm not sure if you're watching this 5 years from now. I don't really know what'll happen with that. But yeah, thanks for watching.